So when you joined GWT, how long were you there before you decided, fuck this, I'm going to do Arachnid lah?
About 7 years, I think it was.
Bloody fucking hell. 7 years in one agency?
Yeah.
That's unheard of today, we.
Okay, what?
Yeah.
No, it's fine, what?
It was unheard of back then too.
No, advertising is hardcore,
7
bro.
cannot meh? I mean, I don't
Rare
know.
lah. Normally it's like what, 2 years, 3 years max?
Then what you...
I think now it's like 1 to 2 years, I would say.
Yeah.
Most people would look to move, right? But maybe back then it was maybe like 3-4 years, 5 years maybe. I mean, I don't really know what the average is. I'm just sort of like guessing.
People used to say like, if, you know, call left last time in Arachnid,
Yeah.
I think the like 2 or 3 people only were like more than 3 years or 4 years.
So yeah.
What, so
They will
after...
call them sofa one, bro. You know sofa is your
Just-
furniture, bro, because you've been there for more than 2 years.
Shit.
Why?
Yeah.
We can't stay in an ad agency more than 2 years,
No, of
is
course
it?
you can.
Oh, you
but
can?
Very few people do.
Why? They just want to change company, is
No,
it?
more money lah. You jump for
Yeah.
more money and more clients because it's diversification of your portfolio. So like let's say you do a lot of cars, then you go do a lot of banks, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for creatives at least.
Yeah, but I mean, I that's the common wisdom lah.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like you move agencies to make more money and get more experience and get exposed to different type of accounts and all that. But I guess I never really subscribed to that.
You must be happy with your job at that time.
Yeah, man, you must have.
Well, yes and no. I mean, of course, you have your challenges
Mhm,
and the
mhm.
pay was shit and you know all the rest of that. But I believe that if I stuck around long enough, I would learn more.
Wow. Wait,
Yeah.
sorry. You believe that if you stayed
Yeah.
more than that 7 years, you would have learned more?
No, if I didn't move as often as whatever was the norm, I would
okay.
learn more. If I stay in one place, I believe that I would learn more lah.
Oh.
Because you start to get into the trust circle of the agency, right? And then you really know how the agency works. So
Operates, yeah.
obviously we got pulled into management meetings, and you know you sort of develop a leadership position within your group of
Yeah, of course.
known
Seniority also.
known factors, known variables, right? But if you go to a new place, yeah, you would get that immediate pay jump. You would get exposed to a different set of people. But I think that kind of exposure is very surface. You don't really like get deep. Right?
I see.
And I think a lot of it also depends on the individual. So like for me, it was like work lah. Work. So like I work most weekends. I work most public holidays. Didn't have a problem with it. You know, whenever there was a pitch, I say I want in.
Wow, that's hardcore, man.
But that's how like in 7 years, I think like one of my bosses once said to me like, you know, I know you're ready for business. When I decided to leave and start a company, he said, I know you're ready for business because the 7 years you spend here is like 14 years.
That is.
Yeah.
That's
So
fucking crazy.
and I think I wouldn't have gotten like that kind of experience if I moved. You know, because I would have sort of skimmed and skimmed and
Yeah.
skimmed, and I would have been on top of the wave, on top of the wave, on top of the wave, but I have no depth. So
Is this advice you would share with
absolutely.
people of today's?
Well,
already
today
given.
maybe not.
Why is that so?
Today maybe not, because I think people are different today. I
Snowflake
think
generation.
whatever you want to call the generation. yeah.
What's a snowflake generation?
It means too sensitive.
Yeah.
Oh my god, pussies.
But the logic should still apply though, right? If, you know, for people of today's generation.
I
they
think the
stay-
logic applies, but I don't think it works for people. If it doesn't work for you, then it's not going to work. Right, because then you just be miserable and
Yeah,
you'll
you
be
would.
beating yourself up about how you've stayed in this one place and you haven't moved.
Yeah.
and-
It really depends on the type of person, and if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I say I wouldn't give that advice today for somebody in the early part of their career, in their 20s and something, is that I think, and this is a generalization, of course, but I think generally, that age group, they have it's very hard for them to commit that long to
It's very
a
difficult.
job. You know, they want to move around, they want to experience, they want to try different things.
But if you were born into this generation,
Yeah.
would you have done the same thing?
If I am that type of hopper, you
Yes.
know, I think it'll be very hard to stay in one
Mm.
job for so long. But that worked for me lah,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. You know, of course, every year I'm like turning down a job offer and beating myself up over it. Right?
Yeah.
Why am I such a stupid asshole? You know, I could be
Gave up
making
his high
another
salary.
yeah, I could be making another 1K here, 800 there. You know. But I didn't, right? So I left JWT not terribly well paid.
Oh, okay.
Because if you don't make the jumps, you
Yeah.
don't get the big pay rises either. But I think I got a lot more experience than people who made the jumps, you know. And people who jump for money, eventually you price yourself out of the market,
That's true.
and then you're stuck, whether you love your job or hate it.
Because you're not going to go down.
Because you can't change your lifestyle.
Is it like a thing where you can never change your lifestyle? Why
I think
not?
most people can't. Again, generalization, right? We have to speak in general terms. There's always exceptions,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
always,
Sure,
everybody's
sure.
different
Yeah.
and all that. But generally, it's very hard, I think, for most people to, go to the places that you go to,
Like Japan every year.
like, holidays, your
Dining.
haunts, your daily meals,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
car you drive, the amount you give your parents, assuming you give your parents money,
Yeah.
and if suddenly one day you have, because you hate your job and you have to take considerably less money, some of these things are going to have to go, right?
Sacrifices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many people are willing to do that? I think it's hard.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's good advice.